How's it going, Jack Tackers, and welcome back to another video for you guys. Today, I'm going to be ranking all four John Wick movies from the worst to the best. With the release of John Wick Chapter 4 earlier this year, I thought now would be a good time to rank all of them because I think we can rank four movies. I mean, that's not a lot of things to rank, but, we're going to be ranking them nonetheless. And I will say, before we get into this, I definitely need to stress that all of these movies are really good. I mean, this is peak action cinema, as we all know. These are some of my favorite movies, maybe of all time, especially like the top two, I would say, definitely. But they're all very close in quality, all right? Because it was just very tricky to decipher which movie was better than another. So if I do happen to rank your personal favorite John Wick movie at the bottom, it really does not mean that much. It's not that deep because honestly, I love all these movies. I would rewatch any of these movies any day of the week. I really enjoy them. They're so damn fun and entertaining and amazing and revolutionary. I can't say enough good things about these movies. So with that being said, let's get into my least favorite, not necessarily the worst, but in this case, it is the worst John Wick movie. And that is, at number 4, we have John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum, with a weird, goofy-ass subtitle. The only John Wick movie that has a subtitle. I don't know why they decided to call it John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum and not just John Wick Chapter 3. I mean, I know why it's called Parabellum because they mention it in the movie, but listen, it kind of sticks out like a sore thumb. Now, of course, that is a very minor complaint. But my main complaint with this movie is the fact that, in my opinion, it peaks within the first act. The first 20 minutes, 30 minutes, I don't know, are the best part of the movie. And it never quite regains the momentum that it had in the first act of this movie because it picks up right after the events of John Wick Chapter 2. And we'll talk about that in a second. But it's kind of this high intensity moment, and John Wick's on the run. There's assassins everywhere. He's basically screwed and fighting all these people. You have amazing action fights in this movie. The knife fight, the fight in the library at the beginning of this movie where he kills a guy, snaps his neck with a book. What? Amazing. Also, the horseback riding scene where John Wick is riding the horse like sideways, shooting people on motorcycles. It's amazing. But then it kind of slows down, in my opinion. But don't get me wrong, there's still some great fights and action in the rest of the movie, especially some of the stuff with the dogs. Really like that, biting and chowing down on people. But we got more of that in John Wick Chapter 4 with Mr. Nobody's character, so I don't really know if it's that special. But anyway, it's still a really great movie overall. I enjoy the hell out of it. But yeah, it really does kind of have, I guess, slight pacing issues because, in my opinion, the action is at its strongest in the first 30-ish minutes of this movie. But again, that's just my opinion. Anyway, next at number 3 is John Wick, the first one. Now, I suspect this to be a relatively hot take. A lot of people really love this movie. They probably put it a bit higher, maybe at number 1 or number 2 for sure. But I still love this movie a lot. Again, it's a great kind of, first chapter into this world and kind of sets the stage. It doesn't get too heavy into the lore. All we really know is that John Wick is a retired assassin, and then he gets back into the business in this movie, and that's basically it. We don't really get a bunch of the lore, and we don't get to see that much of this criminal underworld. We get to see more of that in Chapter 2 and obviously the other movies, but it's kind of a grounded movie for the most part. I mean, it's not super grounded. There is some moments that you kind of have to suspend disbelief, but it's still incredible. You have Willem Dafoe in this movie. This is the only movie he's in the John Wick franchise, so that's kind of cool. You also have Alfie Allen, who is the, I guess, main antagonist of the movie. I like him from Game of Thrones, so, it's kind of cool. And that scene in the club where he's running with, the towel wrapped around him because he's so scared of John Wick. It's amazing. You also have that really great song, Killing Strangers. We're killing strangers. It's just so badass. And, it's the icon. I mean, this is, the first one. It started all the memes don't mess with John Wick's dog. And his dog is killed at the beginning of this movie and it's sad. And, it really just sets the stage. It's a great first chapter in this franchise. I love it. And Also, we get that great scene where John's like, "Yeah, I'm thinking I'm back." It's great. It's badass. It's a hell of a time. I love this movie, but really don't have that many complaints with it. Maybe none at all. I just think the fact it's not quite as interesting in terms of its lore as some of the movies above it. Which, yeah, we'll get into that now. At number 2, we have John Wick Chapter 2. Yeah, I definitely think this is a hot take. I don't think many people would say Chapter 2 is better than the first one, but in my opinion, it is. I think the action is genuinely better. It really is. And the cinematography is better. Like, it just improves on everything the first one did, and that's what a sequel should do. I mean, yes, it does maybe get a little more convoluted with the lore. Some people might not like that, but I kind of do. We have that epic mirror fight with Ruby Rose. That was pretty cool. And that I remember watching that scene for the first time and just being pretty flabbergasted. I mean, it was mesmerizing. The cinematography in that scene and all the mirrors and reflection, the lights. I was just like, what's going on? And like, I think this is like one of the most beautifully shot scenes I've ever seen. Also, this is one of the best endings, maybe the best ending in the John Wick franchise, where he says, I'll kill them. I'll kill them all. And he slowly realizes when he's at the park, all these assassins are already there, and he starts running, and that's why I love the first 20-ish minutes of John Wick Chapter 3 so much, because it's built up with the ending of this movie. It's just so high stakes, it's so intense, it's just like almost a horror movie, because you just see John slowly start to look at these people as he's running up the stairs, and he's like, oh no, and it's just so good. Also, you have a cool museum fight, which was good in this movie, and also the iconic fight sequence, shootout sequence, whatever you call it, with the silencers at the subway. The silencers are so damn quiet. You definitely have to suspend disbelief for sure in that scene, but it's just such an iconic scene. They're both shooting at each other from a distance, and the silencers are so quiet. No one's batting an eye. It's just amazing. But yeah, I love this movie a lot. It was my favorite John Wick movie until I saw John Wick Chapter 4. And that is my favorite John Wick film. I did a whole review for it on this channel, so if you want to hear a bit more in-depth thoughts on it, make sure to check that video out. I just did it about a week ago, but I love this movie. And, I did talk about in the review, maybe it's recency bias, maybe I just saw it, and I should let it kind of sink in my mind a little bit longer. But, it was amazing. This was an epic. This was an epic tale. It was like 3 hours long, but it didn't really feel like it was 3 hours, which is the best kind of 3-hour-long movie. It's just revolutionary for action, in my opinion. More revolutionary than some of the other films in this franchise, in my opinion. It's just got incredible action. That stair fight scene, my favorite. John Wick tumbling down the steps. I can't stop laughing. But then you have Donnie Yen's character, Kane. He's fantastic. So badass, dude. I really love his character. And then, spoiler alert, John dying at the end. Supposedly dying. Is he actually dead? The movie definitely makes it seem like he's dead. I thought the post-credit scene was going to be him, his hand rising from the grave. Not really, but his hand rising from the grave. That's not happening. But it was just, very emotional, very personal story for John Wick. And I really like that. Maybe the most personal since the first movie. And yeah, him just kind of dying on the stairs was incredibly sad. Kind of reminded me of that scene from Blade Runner 2049 where Kay dies on the steps. If only John Wick had kind of laid back on his back on the stairs and it was snowing, would have literally been Blade Runner 2049. Who else thought that, though? Did anyone else think that? It definitely reminded me of Blade Runner 2049. But anyway, there you guys go. I love John Wick Chapter 4. I love all these movies. It's one of the best franchises out there. It is the best action franchise for sure. But yeah, again, just one of the best franchises in general. And who knows? Maybe they'll make a Chapter 5 someday. We're getting that spin-off with Ana de Armas, Ballerina, I think it's called. So, cool stuff coming for this franchise, and I just love it so much. But please, let me hear your ranking of all 4 John Wick movies down in the comments below. I'm definitely curious to see what you guys have to say. Of course, I know there's definitely going to be differing opinions here and there, but it is what it is. Just hopefully you can respect my ranking. I don't hate any of these movies. It's very hard to rank them. Maybe it was pointless to do this video because they're all good, so what's the point? But anyway, I like ranking stuff just because. So yeah, let me hear your ranking down in the comments. If you liked this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new. Make sure to check out my Letterboxd, my Twitter down in the description below. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.